In the year 1985, Hasbro was having huge success with its G.I. Joe toy line. Last time, we saw they had reimagined the franchise in 1982 in a 3 3/4 inch scale. Hasbro also added a backstory through a cartoon and comic book, where G.I. Joe is the code name for America's daring, highly trained Special Mission Force. Its purpose? To defend human freedom against Cobra, a ruthless terrorist organization determined to rule the world. Today, we'll be taking a look at Cobra the Enemy's Flight Pod, here on Creed's Collection. The Cobra Flight Pod, or the Trouble Bubble as it's also known, is by far one of the coolest and most memorable vehicles that Cobra possessed. It's a one-person flying assault craft, and a toy I played with like crazy as a kid. Every kid I know wished he had a flight pod in real life, so it easily captured our imaginations. But I don't think they would make a toy like this for children today, and it's all because of this one feature and accessory that it possesses. The included mine can be put into the controls as you see here, and that makes the Trouble Bubble a flying bomb. I find it hard to believe that they marketed a flying terrorist bomb to children, but I mean the 1980s were a different time, so what are you going to do? Upon closer inspection, you can see the usual level of G.I. Joe detail with stickers that indicate serial numbers like there, and places where you'll put fuses. These little touches add a lot, and for some reason the engines are removable. I'm not sure why, but we'll talk more about that later. Here's the other side, and as you can see there's a little indentation for the spike of the mine to go into on the flight yoke. I guess that's so the stick's not flopping around while it's flying to its death. I really like the Cobra sticker here on the dome, looks really cool. And down here at the bottom there is a cannon for providing a little bit of offensive firepower. Here's the inside of the flight yoke so you can see some of the detail there. And here's a look at the canopy. It actually swings open to allow the G.I. Joes to enter. And there's a peg right there that slots into the back of a G.I. Joe. There's a closer look at the seat and the peg. And as you know, or may not know, G.I. Joes all have a hole on their back, which allows you to slot them into backpacks and vehicles. So you just pop him in like so, and he is ready to go. I chose the Cobra Snow Serpent action figure because he matches so well, and he actually kind of looks like a pilot. So as we mentioned before, the jet engines can be removed. And now that we've removed them, we can see there's some cool stickers like how many planes have been shot down on that pod, the Cobra symbol, the serial numbers, and then of course my favorite part, the flaps that control your direction left and right. I thought that was a neat design, and I always liked that when I was little. It was fun to play with. But what I really liked doing with it was putting it on the back of one of my Cobra troops and pretending like it was a Cobra jetpack. So it's kind of like getting two toys in one. And on the back of the pod, underneath where the engines would go, you can see the copyright information. 1985, Hasbro. Here's the death mine that you can put at the controls. It's got a removable panel on the front there, and then it has a peg hole right back there so you can slot it into the seat. And here's a look at the panel off. I often have my G.I. Joes disarm this bomb with 1 second left, saving the day just in the nick of time. Now I'll take a look at some of the damage. There was a tab here that broke off, and sadly I broke the tab off on this side too. And there was a missile that went on both of those. I don't own them anymore, but here's what they look like. Other than that, the cockpit has a few nicks and scratches here and there, and I'm sure you saw the stickers have a little bit of dirt around the edges, but this was my favorite Cobra vehicle. It got played with all the time, so it's actually held up pretty well. And now for our He-Man size comparison. He-Man is quite large compared to the 3 3/4 inch scale flight pod, but hey, let's face it, everybody wishes they had a one-man flying pod, and this thing is awesome. Everyone, thank you so much for taking the time to watch my toy review for the Cobra Flight Pod from the 1985 toy line G.I. Joe by Hasbro. If you enjoyed the video, please leave a thumbs up, and if you have any thoughts, please leave a comment. I love reading and responding to them. And while you're at it, please consider subscribing. I'd really appreciate it, and it would help my channel grow. I review a toy for my vintage collection every Wednesday, so I hope to see you next week and every week after, here on Creed's Collection.